It all happened in a blur, too sudden for anyone to even react. One moment, the chemistry lab hummed with casual teenage chatter. The next, Dylan Ross's hand was locked around Miss Naomi Harris's throat, slamming her against the wall. Glass beakers trembled. A hiss of gas filled the air. Every student froze where they stood, all except Miss Harris. Her dark eyes didn't widen in panic or plead for help. They fixed on Dylan, cold and unwavering, as if danger was something she'd seen before. Worse than this, far worse. The kind that made Dylan's rage look childish. And within the next 5 seconds, everything would change. Dylan's life, the school's reputation, and everything anyone thought they knew about Miss Harris. Morning sunlight crept weakly through the tall windows of Westbrook High as students shuffled in, their conversations blending into a dull background hum. To most, it was just another regular day in the endless rhythm of classes, gossip, and teenage monotony. But on the second floor, behind the closed door of the chemistry lab, something was brewing, something no one would ever forget. What was about to happen would destroy reputations, humble arrogance, and uncover the secret history of a woman who had seemed nothing more than an ordinary teacher. Her name was Miss Naomi Harris, the new chemistry teacher who didn't need to raise her voice to command silence. She wasn't young enough to be inexperienced, nor old enough to be dismissed, mid-30s, sharp-eyed, with a calm that carried authority. Whispers followed her everywhere. Too strict, too distant, too guarded. She wore long sleeves even in the summer, stood like a soldier, and looked at people as if she could see right through them. Some said she'd been divorced, others that she'd lived a lonely, quiet life. A few whispered that before Westbrook High she'd been someone else entirely. None of them realized how close to the truth that was. Every school has one, the untouchable. The student who believes the rules don't apply, whose name carries power. At Westbrook, that was Dylan Ross, son of a rich businessman whose shadow loomed over the city. Dylan strutted through the halls like they belonged to him, smirking, shoving, cheating, taunting. Most teachers stayed silent, too afraid to challenge his father's influence. But Miss Harris was not most teachers. She didn't stutter when he mocked her. She didn't back down when he raised his voice. Her eyes held his with a cold stillness that made Dylan feel something he rarely did: discomfort. And Dylan Ross hated that feeling. That discomfort was the spark that lit the fire. On a Thursday morning, the chemistry lab was alive with the smell of chemicals and the sound of students working. Dylan leaned back at his station, arms crossed, his friends watching with grins. He smirked, voice rising so the whole class could hear. "Hey, Miss Harris," he sneered. "You sure you're a real teacher? Or just playing dress-up to pay the rent?" Laughter rippled through the room. Nervous, uncertain. Everyone knew Dylan's game. Everyone knew what came next. It was Dylan's routine: provoke, mock, humiliate until the target broke. But Miss Harris didn't take the bait. Without even glancing at him, she said calmly, "Focus on your experiment, Dylan. Your solution's about to overheat." The even tone cut deeper than any insult. Dylan's smirk faltered, his jaw tightening. He wasn't used to being dismissed, not by anyone, least of all a teacher. Most teachers stammered or caved, but she'd brushed him off like he was nothing. "Don't tell me what to do," he snapped, his voice slicing through the room. "You're not my boss. My dad pays your salary. You've probably seen people like him. So spoiled by privilege they think money buys power. What would you do if someone like that challenged you in front of a crowd? Before we move on, tell me, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And if you believe respect should be earned, not bought, hit that like button and subscribe to Story Arc for more stories that prove arrogance always falls." The laughter died. The room froze. A few students tried to hide their grins. Others sat perfectly still, eyes darting between them. Miss Harris finally turned, slowly, her gaze locked on Dylan, sharp, unblinking, and cold enough to make him shift on his feet. He forced a smirk, trying to mask the sudden discomfort creeping up his spine. "You might think your father's money runs this school," she said evenly, every syllable deliberate, heavy. "But in my classroom, science and discipline rule. Sit down." Her voice didn't need to rise. It had finality, like a command carved in stone. For a moment, Dylan hesitated. His heartbeat stumbled. But pride, that poisonous pride, wouldn't let him back down. His friends were watching. The class was watching. Backing off wasn't an option. With a scowl, he slammed his notebook shut and stepped forward. "Or what?" he said through clenched teeth. "What are you going to do if I don't sit down?" Miss Harris didn't flinch. Her voice remained level, but there was something in it now, something dangerous, forged from experience and authority. It made the room go still. A few students straightened unconsciously, sensing something beneath her calm that they couldn't explain. Dylan didn't see it. He mistook composure for weakness. And in that fatal moment, arrogance pushed him too far. He lunged. Before anyone could react, his hand shot out, clamping around Miss Harris's throat, slamming her hard against the counter. Gasps filled the room. Chairs screeched. Some students reached for their phones, others froze, too shocked to move. Dylan's grip tightened, his face twisted in smug triumph. "What now, huh?" he sneered. "What are you going to do now?" But then, everything changed. Miss Harris's expression didn't crumble in fear. Her eyes narrowed, sharp and focused. The quiet, restrained teacher everyone thought they knew seemed to vanish, replaced by something else. Something trained. Something dangerous. In a blur, her hands shot up, seizing Dylan's wrist in an iron grip. His smirk vanished, replaced by a flicker of panic. Before he could react, she struck his elbow, a precise, brutal motion that bent it the wrong way. A sharp cry tore from him, pain flashing across his face. She twisted free, spun behind him, and locked his arm tight against his back. Dylan's body slammed against the counter with a heavy, echoing thud that silenced the entire room. The room went utterly still, not a breath, not a sound. Every student stood frozen, eyes wide, jaws slack in disbelief. Miss Harris hadn't just defended herself. She had moved with the precision of someone who'd done this before. Her grip, her stance, the way she controlled Dylan, none of it belonged to a mere chemistry teacher. It was the movement of someone trained, disciplined, dangerous. Leaning close, her voice cut through the silence like a blade. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Dylan struggled, but it was useless. The harder he fought, the tighter her hold became. His friends stayed where they were, fear etched across their faces. No one dared interfere. For the first time in his life, Dylan Ross, Westbrook's untouchable bully, wasn't in control. He wasn't the hunter anymore. He was prey. "Apologize." The word cracked through the room like a whip. Miss Harris's tone was calm, quiet, but absolute. Dylan groaned in pain, his pride collapsing under the weight of her command. The pressure on his arm increased. "Say it," she ordered again. Steady, steel in every syllable. Years of arrogance, intimidation, and unchecked cruelty melted away in seconds. Dylan trembled, sweat glistening down his face. I'm sorry," he choked out, voice shaking. "I'm sorry." Only then did she let go. With a firm shove, she pushed him forward. Dylan stumbled, clutching his twisted arm, his face pale and humiliated. Not a single student laughed. Not one dared to speak. Every pair of eyes was locked on her, the woman who had just dismantled the school's most feared student with terrifying ease. Miss Harris adjusted the cuffs of her blouse, straightened her posture, and stood tall once more. Her expression was calm, almost serene. But behind her eyes, something darker flickered. A storm hinting at the kind of past no one there could begin to imagine. She surveyed the stunned faces around her and said simply, "Class dismissed." No one moved at first. Then slowly, chairs creaked, backpacks rustled, and one by one, the students slipped out, glancing between Dylan, still nursing his arm, and Miss Harris, who stood motionless, composed, like a soldier returning to attention. That day, rumors spread through Westbrook High faster than wildfire. The new chemistry teacher wasn't just a teacher. She was something else, something dangerous. Dylan Ross, the untouchable bully, had been broken in front of everyone. Not by threats or anger, but by skill, precision, and absolute control. And deep down, Dylan knew it. His life had just changed forever. The arrogance, the power, the invincibility he'd worn like armor, all shattered by the one person he thought he could intimidate because Miss Naomi Harris's past wasn't rumor. It was truth, a truth that had just revealed itself for everyone to see. Moments like this remind us that money can buy privilege, but never respect. Respect isn't gifted, it's earned. Wealth might bend rules, silence people, even protect you for a while, but not forever. Eventually, everyone meets someone who can't be bought. And when that moment comes, the truth always wins. If you've ever seen arrogance crumble like that, you know it's a lesson that leaves a mark. Like this video and subscribe to the Final Boundary Tales, where some lessons are learned the hard way.